as promised, another video. Um, this is the perfect time of year. If anybody has ever wondered when the best time to buy a new vehicle, when you're going to a dealership, if you're dealership shopping, it's now. This week right here is the best time in the whole year to buy a new vehicle. Because for one, it's the end of a month. End of the month is the best time because dealers want to move inventory. They gotta pay their loan payments due on their inventory, and they gotta pay it. So they gotta move units to have the capital to make their upcoming payment. The other reason being it's the end of the year. You got new models coming in, old models coming out. The last day of the year, dealers get quotas and bonus checks from manufacturers. So this is the prime time. They'll be more than willing to knock off a bunch of money to you as an individual customer so that they guarantee that they get this big kickback check from the manufacturers. So this is where you can get those deals where you can get maybe 1,000 or 2 under MSRP going shopping right now. But this comes with some warnings, okay? For those of you who are unseasoned in car shopping, the dealership is trained to prey on your emotions. And there's so many different emotions that you could be going through when you arrive on that lot. Whether that's your previous vehicle just got totaled, you're wrecked, and so you're desperate to find a replacement. So that desperate, I need a vehicle now, they're gonna sniff that out and prey on you. You could be in an emotional state of maybe you've driven a gas guzzler and you're tired of paying gas prices at the pump and you're wanting something easier on fuel. Whatever your situation is going into that lot, them salespeople are not your friends. They're gonna act like they're gonna try to come off friendly and talk to you and give you small talk and get you involved in these chatty conversations, and you think, oh well, they're on my side, and they will tell you this at some point in the deal. They'll be like, I'm on your side. They're not. They're on their side. Because they want a paycheck, they want to move a unit. Different salesmen get paid different ways at different dealerships. Some salesmen get a straight, say, $100 for selling a car. Some salesmen get a commission, a percentage of the sale. So do your research on the dealership and maybe ask outright, how do you pay your salespeople? Know this information going into it, because a salesman that gets a straight commission on the car is going to be easier to deal with than that salesman who gets a percentage of the sale, because they're not going to be as willing to want to negotiate or go to bat for you while you're negotiating the price, because the cheaper you get the car, the less commission they get. As well as say a salesman knows, I don't care what the price is, if I move this unit, I get $100. They're going to be more willing to work with you on the price because they're going to make the same amount regardless. The other emotional state that you could be in is that, we've covered the fuel economy. Oh, I want something fuel economy. So they're going to put you on something just based on MPGs. They're not going to focus on your budget. They're going to ask you what payment range you want to be in. That's the age old, as long as we can get your monthly payment right, you'll sign on the line. Don't worry about monthly payment. I know monthly payment is, obviously you want it to be affordable, but focus on the out the door price, the total price paid. Because if they come back and, let's just say your payment is, I need it under $500 a month. Well, your whatever vehicle you're on, they're going to come back and they're going to say, all right, well, we got you, good news, we got you at $489. We got you under your $500 a month. Problem is, you're now looking at maybe 70 plus months of payments, because they're going to make more on the back end on the interest. So do your due diligence and Focus on the price of the vehicle. I wouldn't even discuss once you go into a lot, I would suggest don't even discuss a payment. Just say, I'm looking for whatever you're looking for. Have them show them to you and compare 3 or 4 different ones, and also bounce around other dealerships with inventory and their pricing. And don't be afraid to say, hey, I saw one in another county that's cheaper. But don't lie about it. Actually shop around and find it. So that way, whenever they say, oh, let me see it, you can pull it right up and go, here's where I found this same vehicle at a cheaper price. And also make sure you're comparing, because the dealers know all these tricks too. They will look at the features that's on the vehicle that you found compared to theirs, and they'll say, well, ours is a higher trim level, or ours is this. So make sure you are comparing apples to apples, and you're showing them the exact same trim level vehicle, but they are cheaper. You know, I specialize in finding the best example of something at the cheapest price. That's just the service I offer. And so that's my specialty, is I enjoy finding better deals. There's some other emotional states that you can be in. Try not to give off emotion. If you've maybe longed for a specific vehicle in a specific color combo that you've not been able to find, and this one dealership has one, and that's where you go, and you're just, oh, I love this color, because you give them that information, you just gave them all the reason not to be willing to negotiate with you, because they know that color is a desirable color, and they're going to be firm on their pricing because they know you've just given them that you've been looking for that color. Instead, this is where you can lie. Go into it, in the back of your mind, you know that they got the color you want. But go in there and go, you know, it's a nice vehicle, but I wanted a different color. I really wanted whatever color they don't have. Now then, you've given them the doubt that you don't like the color, even though inside that's the color you want. You know, you got to play their game against them to be able to get the best value. You go in with a little bit of nitpicking. You know, say you don't like the color when really you do. Anything that you say that you love about the vehicle, they're going to play on. And they're going to bring it up when it's time to sit down and go over the final numbers. They're going to say, well, it's got this and you wanted this. Oh, it's got this that you want, that you want. They're going to show you all of the things. They're going to use every bit of ammo that you've given them in your conversations. I personally recommend don't buy a vehicle unless you can buy it outright with cash. It's a depreciating asset. It's going to go through a period of depreciation, especially if you're buying brand new. I would recommend, if you're wanting something newer, then maybe get something 3 to 4 years old, something that's got a proven track record on the road of being reliable, things like that. Every mechanic, I'll give you this part to close. Every mechanic has a generation, gets to a generation to where they're like, I'm washing my hands with this. I've known 2 or 3 that they only want to work on stuff from the 70s and 80s. And as vehicles get newer, I've decided to leave the mechanic realm in this current time. The vehicles that are coming out now. I don't want to get into hybrids. I don't want to get into EVs. I don't want to get into anything like that. So I don't want to work on those. I'll leave those to the new generation of mechanics. I personally won't buy a brand new vehicle. There's a lot of vehicles out there that look nice. I'm a car enthusiast, and I love the way certain vehicles look. Yes, I will stare at a new C8 as it drives by. They're beautiful. However, I know that the more tech, the more gadgets built into the vehicles, you're just asking for more problems, more things to go wrong, and the more expensive it's going to be to repair, because these newer vehicles are built layered upon layered upon layered, to where you have to remove so much stuff to get to one thing. They're not as straightforward. So a lot of your repair cost is going to be in the labor, because it takes longer to repair certain components on the vehicles. So I don't have any new car recommendations, but if I did, I would say stick to the 3 brands that have a proven reliability record, and that is Toyota, Honda, Mazda. I would stick to those 3. If I'm buying brand new, that's where I'm going to start. And pick whatever you're looking for within that realm. You know, they've got, whether you need a sedan, whether you need a SUV, whether you need a crossover, whether you need a minivan, whether you need a truck, shop within those. I know Mazda doesn't have a pickup truck, but you can at least get the SUV, sedan, that nature within Mazda. You may have to step over to Toyota or Honda for a pickup truck. But those would be where I would start. And if you're wanting luxury, obviously they're luxury brands, Lexus, Acura, and Mazda don't have a luxury brand. So Mazda is just Mazda. So stick with those 3. Years ago, I would have recommended Subaru in there, but where Subarus went to CVT transmissions, I no longer recommend Subaru for that reason, because the CVT transmission goes out. Toyota has made a better CVT transmission, but still you got to maintain those. Or otherwise those would be, expensive repair as well. But there you go. Hopefully I gave you some information. Now's the time. If you're going to go out and shop for a vehicle, this is the time to do it. God bless. See you on the next one.